So good morning, everybody, and welcome to Wonderful Humans podcast with Liz Turner. I've just noticed it's 11:11, which is always an amazing number to just start recording from. Wonderful Humans podcast was born out of just wanting to celebrate some amazing human beings who are just living their lives, helping others, and just living better than they were before. And this morning, we have got the beautiful and amazingly strong Tiffany Rose, transgender woman, who is going to come along, have a beautiful conversation with us, and just tell us about her journey and how she got to being the powerhouse she is today. So good morning, Tiff.
Good morning. Good morning.
So how are you this morning?
I am really excited to do this, and I adore you as a person. So I feel really honoured that you've asked me, to be honest. It's a massive honour to be here with you. So thank you.
Oh, that's really kind of you to say. And I think one of my reasons for reaching out to you is that, there's a huge trans community, isn't there? And there's a lot of ignorance around it. And then there's people that may be struggling with their identity. And I just think you are so confident in your own skin. And I know that it ebbs and flows, and I understand that. But generally, you're such a confident woman. And I think you can inspire others to just land in who they are. And I think that's why I really wanted you to come on and just tell us your story,
Yeah. I think I'm defo really out there with who I am, and I kind of, try and wear the trans flag, and and I truly believe, I am a woman, but I am proud to be trans, and I'm really out there with kind of, being who I am, and I think, yeah.
So, Tiff, take us on a little journey. Before I say to everybody that comes on, take us on a little journey. I will try my best not to interrupt, but you know what I'm like.
Okay.
So yeah, take us on a journey. Like, let us know how you sort of got to where you are today, and I think that'd be really useful for the listeners.
Yeah, defo. So when I was really young, I think I was under like 8 years old, I always felt different in the aspect of I felt like, I didn't like young, normal. When I say normal, like, the typical young boy would be playing with, I know it's all different now and boys can play with dolls, but I was never really masculine from a very young age. And all I remember being a child was, when my mum would put me in boys' clothes and people would buy me boys' stuff, it just didn't feel natural to me. It was like I didn't want to wear boys' clothes. And one of my earliest memories, and don't laugh, I used to wear a tea towel on my head just to pretend that I had like long hair, and like I used to wear like I used to go into my sister's room and nick her clothes, girls' clothes, because, and obviously, as I got a little bit older, and I was about 13 when I came out to my mum, but the reality was I thought I was gay, when I first came out, back then, it's about 15 years ago. Yeah, being trans just wasn't a thing. Like it was, well, it was, but it wasn't as mainstream as it is now. So when I came out to my mum, I was like, I think I'm gay. And my mum just thought I was a feminine gay man. And I truly believed that for the longest time. And it wasn't until I got to like my late teens, 14 to like 16, I was like, no, I'm not into like gay men. I'm not into I kind of, as I started growing up and hit puberty and started, being a bit more masculine, I was like, this doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't feel natural. And then I kind of, you know, realized, oh, okay, I'm not gay. I actually think I want to be a girl. And yeah, I kind of said to my mum, and my mum was so supportive. My family was so supportive. At first my mum struggled with it. My dad's side were really transphobic, and I come from some of a Irish background, and they were very Catholic and very But like my mum was really supportive, and she took me to the doctors, and then, you know, I got an appointment with a gender doctor when I was like, I think I was 17, 18. And obviously my mum was really worried at first. She was very overprotective. She didn't want me to be bullied. And I remember she wouldn't let me wear makeup at school because she was so scared of me being picked on. And I used to take makeup in my rucksack, and then, pardon me, excuse me, I used to go to the get to the bus stop to get the bus to school when I was like 14, 15. And I'd put like mascara on, lip gloss on, and yeah, and my mum and family, my mum's side of the family, you know, were really loving. And my mum is the reason why I am here I am today, really, you know, and she kind of got me an appointment with the gender clinic, and then that's where my journey began, really.
So when you were at the bus stop and you like, because it just came into my head, and I don't believe I'm ignorant about this stuff. I'm from Brighton, but
Mm.
obviously when you don't live that path. So if I'm balls up, correct my language because it's good to learn. So when you're at the
Okay.
bus stop and you're doing your makeup, how did that go down with your peers? Because that's a really interesting. You've been 15, 14, 15 and doing that
Mm.
as a boy, like.
Yeah. People were, I got bullied. Like I was a boy with makeup on, you
Yeah.
know, and my school friends, and you know, I got extremely bullied for wearing makeup as a boy at school. Yeah, I got spat on, I got pushed over, I got beaten. I had to do PE with the girls. I had to stop doing PE with the boys in like year 7 and 8 because I was getting so bullied at the school. It let me do PE with girls because, you know, in the changing rooms, and you know, it was really awful. And like when I look back, I'm just like, not in an arrogant way, but I was stubborn. I was a stubborn person. I was like, I don't care. Like, I'm going to be who I am. And yeah, the bullying was awful. People, because back then, babe, like being trans wasn't really kind of a thing back then, you know, and it probably was, but it wasn't very open. So yeah, it was. I remember getting on like this, like the bus where all the school kids got on. I'd be walking down the aisle and I'd be being pushed about, and gay boy and other disrespectful words that I'm not going to say on here
No.
because they're really offensive. But yeah, it was awful. It was really awful.
And that's a real testament to, you know, like that you won't be able to beat this out of me. You won't be
Mm,
able to bully this out of me. This is who I am. And
mm.
that's really courageous to stand in your truth about, you know, this is who I am. I mean, I struggle with that today as a grown ass woman.
Same, but babe, it's really weird because I look back and I think like it's so surreal because I look back and I'm like, I wish I had that courage that I had as a 14, 15-year-old. I wish I had that as a woman today. And
Mm.
I look back and I'm like, I was so brave and so fearless. And I wish that I kept that, you know, with the stuff that I've been through growing up and my addiction and recovery and all that jargon. I look back and I wish I still, you know, I think I wish I could have held that, you know. And I think I think I look back and the child me and teenager me was just fearless. And
Mm.
I just wish I could, because I'm not, you know, when we grow up, it's kind of like we don't, it's harder to be brave and courageous, I think, you know, and to be who you are because you know as you grow up you kind of, well, I don't know about anybody else in yourself, but I sometimes do care what people think sometimes, not all the time. So yeah, it's crazy.
No, definitely. And I know I'm not, I'm pretty out there. And I celebrate just being who I am, but I still have those, you know, moments of darkness when I'm worrying about what people think or do people like me. And you know, I think you're right, with children, we have less of that going on, but being bullied, the extreme that you were bullied, and still standing in that belief of who you are to now come up. So do you think that your addiction had, you know, the bullying and being trans had something to do with your addiction, or do you see them as two separate?
No, I think it defo, you know, I think I defo, yeah, my addiction and my transition and being who I was, you know, defo, you know, is some kind of part of why became a drug addict for sure, and an addict. And yeah, I defo use drugs to kind of cope with the bullying, and you know, and and, to feel confident and kind of not care what people think. I think I think a lot of my using as I grew up, I got disowned by my late father's family, and they were absolutely vile to me. And I think my addiction kind of started around that kind of time, and it was really difficult because I was trying to work out myself as a woman and transitioning. And then my dad died, and then there was just a lot of things. And I think I did use because, you know, sometimes being transgender is hard, it's difficult. And I think drugs were definitely a part of what being trans and drugs is definitely some small kind of part of why I use drugs, yeah.
So
Mm.
would you like, and because you're using the word transition, and I'm really ignorant to this stuff. So when you're transitioning, would you say it's the physical stuff, the mental stuff, or all of the above that made it really difficult?
It's both, hun. It's both. It's absolutely both. The physical side, you start HRT, which hormone replacement therapy.
How did that go? Like, let's just touch on that one point.
Yes, sure. So, you see a gender doctor. I was quite lucky that, because usually you have to wait 2 years. You have to live as a woman for 2 years before. But because I was already living as a woman, I didn't have to prove that I was a woman, like living. So, and then you start hormones, which physically changes you mentally and physically. And you start growing breasts, and your face changes, your whole body starts to slowly feminize. But then mentally, you know it's also quite draining because um the gender dysphoria, as you're on the hormones and stuff. I just remember thinking, oh, my boobs aren't big enough, or my hips aren't curvy. Like, it kind of, I don't know, this is just my personal experience, but when I was on hormones, I put so much pressure on myself, thinking, oh, I'm not feminine enough, my boobs aren't growing quick enough, or my skin isn't soft enough, do you know what I mean? So it kind of, even though it was the best thing ever being on starting hormones, it does click into the gender dysphoria of, I'm not looking pretty enough, I'm not looking feminine enough.
Isn't that interesting? Because like I go through that as a woman, like that I haven't got an art. Like, I've just been to the gym this morning because I want to pump my bum up. So there's a real parallel with the two, isn't there?
You know what I've learned? I call yourself a biological woman, and that may be controversial to some people.
No. Like,
You was born, you was born a woman, and trans women and women that were born with vaginas, we have a lot. We go through a lot of the same things, apart from obviously the periods, and and we will never, like, I will never understand what it's like to give birth or to have a period. And I 100% respect women. Like, women, bloody hell, deserve to be worshipped for what they have to go through. Do you know what I mean?
I agree.
But honestly, like, it's quite how I feel as a woman is very similar to how you would feel. I think, and even though I'm confident and I'm still fearless and I'm who I am, I still have insecurities, and like, oh my God, there are some days where I'm like, I look fat, or, so yeah, I think transitioning is a beautiful thing, but it's also a scary thing as well, because, your body changes. Like, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this.
You can go through it. I put an alert on that it might be adult content.
So down below, so my penis stopped work. It doesn't work. No, it stopped.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, it stops. It stops working, which I'm happy about it, because as a woman, I want to be a woman. I don't want to ding dong. Yeah, but after a while, like, you can't ejaculate. You can still kind of orgasm, but it's not the same as before on hormones. And then it kind of shrinks, like, it kind of like disappears, like, you know, and
And is
that
that down to not using it? Because ultimately a penis is a muscle. I mean, I'm probably really ignorant here, and I'm probably going to get lots of comments on my ignorance.
no.
The muscle. So surely when you're not using it and it stops working, maybe that's why it shrinks, do you think? Or because
Yeah,
like any muscle.
I think that could be a possibility. I've not really researched it, but what I do know is after time the testicles shrink, and I think kind of because it's basically female hormones pumping in my body. So all of that testosterone in my penis kind of slowly disappears. So maybe it could be because I'm not using it. But you know, because before I transitioned properly, obviously with the hormones, I had to tuck myself. I had to, and that's a whole different ball game if you don't know what it is. Like, but now,
Explain, because I'm sure there's lots of people listening to this that are like, actually, I don't know, you know, and could be somebody who could really help.
yeah. So tucking is basically the proper old-fashioned way of tucking is the testicles have pockets inside. So you push them up into the pockets, which is not it's painless.
You
It's
saw my
pain,
face then. I was like, oh,
yeah.
that sounds painful.
It's absolutely painless, hon, like honestly. And then you push them up and they naturally stay in the pockets inside. It's the testes area. It's really weird. And then what you do is you push the shaft of the penis under, and how I took now is that's the proper way, but how I took is I just wear I have a lot of underwear, but I have to wear 2 pairs of tight knickers, and I just push it under, and it gives that kind of flat, because like I said, with the hormones, it's kind of shrunk, so it's kind of really easy to kind of oh, my cat's made an appearance. Um, you know, it kind of is easier. So tucking's basically just pushing them up, pushing the, you know what, under, and then just wearing a tight pair of knickers, and Bob's your uncle.
You have a vagina.
Yeah, and like I can wear bikinis, I can wear, and you would never know. And obviously, you can there has been times where I've used tape as well, masking tape and stuff. If I've like, I probably do that more when I'm on holiday, if I'm going into like a pool or something, just to make sure. But it's a bloody nightmare when you need to go to the toilet.
Oh, I bet. Oh, I absolutely bet. So, so you haven't had the full. I mean, what's the right terminology here? Come on, speak for me.
No, that's okay. I've not had the full reassignment surgery, and that's mainly because of my addiction. And
Okay.
the reality is, you know, when I was in my addiction, I was a sex worker, and being trans, I needed my penis because that's what the men wanted. You know what? Unfortunately, trans women are fetishized, so a lot of men like the fact that we have breasts and a penis. So I didn't have I should have had my surgery 7 years ago, but because I was a sex worker and needed the money to take drugs, I kept it because that's what the men wanted, and it was appealing as for me being basically an escort
Yeah.
slash, to me, prostitution and escorting is the same thing, like, it's
Yeah.
exactly the same thing. So yeah, so I kind of, haven't had it done, but now I'm in recovery. You know, I've obviously, you know, I'm seeing my gender doctor a lot more now, and it is on the cards. It is it's gonna happen in the next year or so, which I'm really excited for. I'm very scared,
Yeah.
like, I'm shitting myself. It's gonna be cut off. Do you know what I mean? Like, even though I don't want it, it's scary, do you know? Like,
Keep
scary.
it. Do you reckon you'll get to keep it? Like in a bottle, you're like
I want to keep my testicles. I don't know why. I don't want to keep the shaft. For some reason, for some reason, I want to keep them in. I'm such a freak, but like I
You're
want to
not a
keep.
freak. Let's get rid of that word. You're not a freak. I don't
I'm
like
not. I'm different, but like
you're
I,
unique.
I want to keep them in a jar bay forever. That's what
Good. So, and
I'm
why
doing.
not?
Um. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, and you know, obviously, I've had to remain abstinent. You know, obviously, unfortunately, I did have a little bit of a Relapse.
Okay, so tell us about your relapse, because I also think that's really important, because I bet you there's lots of people out there struggling with their identity, struggling with, you know, who they think they are, that are using drugs to self-medicate, to mask. And so I think that's a really interesting topic to start touch on as well. So like, tell us about it, if you don't mind.
So basically the truth is, so obviously I was doing OnlyFans and content, which was absolutely fine. You have minimal contact with men. They just pay a subscription. However, I stupidly set up a VIP WhatsApp, which basically meant that these men could they would pay £69 to have my VIP WhatsApp, where they could have free nudes. They can speak to me whenever they want. So I started doing that, and then what was starting to happen was these men were offering me £5,000, 10 grand. They were offering me lots and lots of money to meet them, and I was very tempted. And I think what happened was when I got into recovery, when I found NA and I was in London for a long time. When I came back, I swore to myself that I would never sell my body in the aspects of meeting up with a man and having sex. And so what happened is, with this WhatsApp, was I was getting very tempted. So anyway, I ended up using, because I felt really ashamed. It really triggered me. And I nearly met up with a man in Wales for, I think it was £4,000, and he was going to transfer me some money. So basically I relapsed because I just felt so dirty, and it triggered so much stuff. I just was so angry with myself. One, that I made this VIP WhatsApp so these men could have that access to me. And two, because I was willing to meet someone for a weekend. And the reality was, if I met up with this man, I would have had to use drugs. There is no way in hell that I could have had sex with a total stranger and not have a substance, you know. And so I ended up using, because it triggered so what happened was, it triggered my mental health, and I was so scared to tell people. Like, I was so ashamed to tell people, you know. I had a previous NA sponsor, and she kind of knew what was going on, but I totally shut down mentally. And the reality was, I made the wrong choice. Instead of me, you know, in NA, we have spiritual principles, don't we? And we have 4 suggestive things. And instead of me reaching out and telling someone, I feel ashamed, I feel dirty, I've been tempted to meet up with a man for 4 grand. I picked up alcohol, which is a drug, and I relapsed, babe. It was only a mini relapse. For the grace of God, I literally only used for 16 hours. I drank this all day, and then I woke up. I did use when I woke up, but what's it called? My friend in the fellowship took me to a meeting, and I just got back on it. So now I'm in recovery. I don't mind doing the OnlyFans content, because they can't arrange to meet me. They can't, they can't offer me.
Just get nudes. They just get nudes.
They just get, lingerie pictures. So,
see, for me, our stories are very, very similar. I'm not a trans woman, but I was a sex worker too. So we have got a very same history. And when you were just talking about that, and it came to my mind, it's chasing the power note, because even though my sex work was wrapped up in addiction, it was also wrapped up in money.
I'm addicted to money.
And it was a real trigger for me. So when I was sat here, I was just thinking to myself, if that was me, and I'm not going to put words in your mouth, it would have punched a big hole in that trauma wound of, as much as I was chasing money, as much as I wanted drugs, there was still parts of myself that I sold I will never get back. Every part of myself was sold to the lowest bidder, and and that shame and guilt. Actually, as women, we're worth more than, but chasing that power note at the same time, because it's a real contradiction, isn't it?
Yeah, I lost concept of who I was before I relapsed. I lost my values, I lost my morals, I lost what I was, why I lost my whole aspects of why I'm clinging and why I've moved on from that life. And it triggered so much trauma because, as you know, sex work isn't glamorous. It is vile. It is dirty. It is dangerous. It is so dangerous, you know. And I ended
And
up
for all them out there that are thinking it's like Pretty Woman, it's nothing like that. Nothing.
it's vile. It's gritty, dirty, grimy.
There ain't no Richard Gere coming up in a like Lamborghini to pick you up.
No, no. So yeah, and my relapse has really destroyed me. I'm still coming to terms with it. And
would you say the relapse, or would you say the behind is behind the relapse? Like that on the verge of me.
Yeah, the reasons why I relapsed, you know, when I came into recovery, because I was nearly 3 years before I used. Before, when I got clean, I had a total emotional breakdown, and I was like, I don't want anyone touching me no more. You know, you know, and I remember breaking down to my mom at her house. I just don't want anyone touching me no more. And that's why I got clean, because I didn't want to, because my using, you know, I had to, you know, I know it's emotional, absolutely emotional. So like, so I couldn't believe that. Obviously I didn't meet up with them. Touch wood, I didn't meet, but it would have, yeah, it would have mentally and emotionally broke me. So
in terms of that, and I'm obviously going off on a tangent, but how do you then manage the spicy content, as they say? And I'm saying because I'm interested. So like,
so with OnlyFans, so with the content, you are allowed to kind of decide what you want to post. So you are totally in control. So for me, I do all types of content. So I do nudes, I do adult content, I do porn. I have got porn on there.
And when you say porn, is that with somebody else, or is that
somebody else? Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm having sex with someone else. But my face isn't in there. So a lot of the stuff that I do is it is POV, but it's kind of like, you know.
Right, for those that don't know, what's POV? Come on, you can't do the acronyms and not let people know what they are. What's POV?
Okay, so POV is basically, I forgot the actual meaning of POV, the actual word, but it's kind of like it's like you and it's like you're behind the camera, literally behind the camera. So it's kind of like
point of view.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, so basically with OnlyFans, so you post your content, then people have to subscribe to your kind of like channel, like, you know, and they kind of pay the subscription.
Yeah.
But thing is with me, the pictures, so the kind of adult content that I do, you have to pay per view.
Right.
So it's not just on there so they can keep watching it for free. They have to pay like £10 every time they view it. Yeah, what else did you want to know? Sorry, my brain just went dead then. I just went totally blank.
On an emotional level, how do you manage, like, just like, because you did just sort of say you have sex with somebody, you know, you do you know, porn, which is with somebody else. Is that with somebody that you know? Is that a friend?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It's someone that I've known for years, and he's also a content creator, and he's someone that we you know, we used to be, we are still good friends, but we used to kind of be in a relationship. And recently we kind of got back in contact. And he's someone that I trust.
Right. It's just really important there.
Yeah, it's someone that I'm attracted to. The sex is great. and he's a lovely guy. Like, he doesn't push my boundaries. Like, we have clear, not just me, but he has his boundaries, what he will and don't do. And yeah, so it's kind of very, like, I don't just shag anyone. Do you know what I
No,
mean? It's
no.
not, I'm not meeting random men to do content. It's just with this one person,
Yeah.
you know?
I just really wanted you to clarify that because
Yeah, because I don't want people to think that I'm just having sex with different men. It's just with this one person,
yeah,
and we do different scenarios, different themes. Like, we've got a new theme. We're doing a theme for Halloween that's coming up,
I
where
love that.
he's gonna wear like a balaclava, and he's gonna put me over his shoulders. I'm gonna have like my ass out with a thong, and we're gonna do scenes where he's like the Halloween, you know, the Halloween mask. Like, it's just gonna be amazing. But no, it I'm not out here shagging loads of men.
No,
You know
it's
what I
just
mean?
that one person. Yeah.
Yeah, and we have boundaries, and we have an agreement, and yeah. So
So I've just remembered something as well, and this is really off topic, but that's kind of where my brain's at this morning, and I know you'll be able to keep up with that. So I know that you do some work for a trans charity, don't you? So
yes, I
you're
do.
allowed to speak about that? Can we kind of let people know?
Yes, yeah, I am allowed to. So um I'm not actually currently doing it at the moment. Can't really discuss why, but I basically, so I have done a lot of voluntary work with a lot of trans, so it's called Trans Mind. So mind, but
The
the
mental health
organization,
charity.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's Bristol Mind. So basically it's based in Bristol, but it's for trans people. So it's Trans Mind, and it's basically a helpline for, so the whole concept is it's a helpline, it's a listening service where trans people, all ages, all races, all situations can call up and talk about their problems. And I would say, me as a helpline coordinator, I would, signpost them to places. So if they ask for any information about, gender issues, we're able to signpost them. But the main thing is just listening to them and just listening to their problems. And I really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, there was a lot of budget cuts. So yeah, so at the moment it's not happening. However, I've applied for a few more places to be like a mentor for trans women, for different organised. I can't say their names yet because it's not official.
No.
But the trans helpline is still running. I can maybe get some information to maybe add it to.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
I was just going to say,
I'll get
yeah.
because it's the helpline's still running. It runs on Mondays and Wednesdays. That's still running, but I'm not on there right now. But it's really great if you're trans, non-binary, or non-gender conforming, and you have any problems, or you need someone to talk to, you need someone that's going to understand.
Yeah.
Um,
Because that's the other thing, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
no, it's
100%, any links you've got, anything that can help anyone get a bit of advice, support would be great. Give that to me in your bio. But like when you were saying about oh, my brain's gone blank because I always get worried that I'm going to say this wrong. People that don't gender identify, and that's for me as a mum of a little boy, and Oscar is always sort of saying to me, Mum, I think I'm gay. Now I know I give him the space to like explore. I don't know whether he is, because he says, oh, I really love Charlie, which is his friend, and I'm like, and that's okay. He's 7, like, so I'm not shutting it down. But I've also got a friend, like coming across that, because I mess up all the time, of young people or not young people who don't identify as either.
Yeah, non-binary. I'm still kind of learning, I'm still learning about it, because when I came out as trans, you were either a woman or a man, you know, and it's just all it's new territory. And when I had my training for the helpline, it took me a while to learn about it because, you know, it's like these days there's non-binary, there's, you know, which means they don't identify with, you know, either, or, you know, it's mind-boggling, you know, and but I kind of, you know, as I've learned more about it, it's like people just want to be themselves. And I think as we'll get, as like things are changing in the world, so are people. And I think it's a beautiful thing that people, you know, want to be referred as they and them, because, you know, some people might feel like a woman or a man, or, you know, you know, in reality, I think as women, you know, like you and me, we might have some masculine aspects, you know, or but we, you know, I don't refer as non-binary, I'm just trans female, but I can be a bit masculine sometimes, but, you know, and so I can really understand why some people may feel like that and may, you know, want to be referred as that, because, you know, it's very mind-boggling. I'm an old trans hag. I'm an old girl. Do you know what I mean? I'm an old trans hag. I'm old school, and I'm still learning all this new lingo. I respect everybody, but I'm old now. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Only you say that, but absolutely, and starting to understand that if someone is saying they're non-binary, but, you know, binary, or it's not because it's about their sexuality either. You know, I think the two get really confused, and I'm guilty of that too. You know that, you know, and I've been really looking into this about masculine and a female energy, just as a straight woman. You know, that actually you tapped on it, that I can have really strong masculine energy, and my masculine energy comes from my doing side, my controlling side, getting shit done. And my feminine side is that side where I'm nurturing and kind, and I sit with Oscar and I allow him that space to say things like, I think I'm getting on, which I'm good with. Whether he is or whether he isn't, it's not for me to determine right now. It's just me giving him space. My masculine side wants to go, no, you're not. How would you know? You're only 7, you know? And
yeah, he's pretty young. He's pretty young. He's got, you know, and yeah, like what I would say, my advice would be is kind of, he is so young.
I've just told him my advice to him, and we were having, and this conversation keeps coming up because I don't know whether it's like, listen, if he's gay, cool. If he's bi, cool. If he's straight, cool. I don't care either way, as long as my child is happy. I just said to him, listen, you don't have to decide today. Today, if you want to be gay, sweet. Tomorrow, if you want to be straight, sweet. Like, where does it say that we have to make a decision and that's it for the rest of life? Because I don't know about you, but my life has changed exponentially in just the 10 years. Like, I am not the same woman that I was 10 years ago, that I am sat here having this fine conversation with you. So why do we have to choose? It doesn't have to choose at 7. But in terms of somebody that doesn't identify, it's not about their sexuality. It's about how they feel and view the world and view themselves.
That's it. You've hit it on the head, hon. You've just nailed. You just knocked the nail in. It's exactly what it's about. And, you know, and I just truly believe that, you know, everyone has their own journey, don't they? Everyone has their own journey. And, you know, it's not even just about being trans or not. We are all on our journey of like healing, or what, there's just so many journeys that we're on individually, and, you know, and it's just everyone has their journey to go on, and it's like beautiful how you said it is just allowing. I think we should all allow space for people to just go on their own journey, you know, because we're on our own lane, we're going that way, but sometimes people are going that way or that way, or, you know, and that's okay.
I do think it's changing, you know, like in terms of schools, we like to put kids in these boxes, you know, and girls wear black and pink, and boy, like, you go and buy school uniforms and the girl shirts are in a pink packet and the boys are in a blue packet. That's still happening. We're still putting people in boxes. We're just people. You know, we're just people trying to enjoy the life as best as we can and gain a little bit of happiness. But I do think it's starting to seep out that just allowing people to be. You just be you, you know, and I think that's a really important message. It's like when you said at the beginning of this podcast about you weren't attracted to gay men. Men you're attracted to, not gay men.
Yeah. So, yeah, because like gay men won't be attracted to trans women.
No.
Because they're into men, you know, and trans women, we present female. So, you know, and it may be controversial, but a lot of straight men find me attractive because I look like a woman, you know, and gay men won't, but straight men will. And there's this big debate, well, are men that are into trans women gay? And the answer is no. Because straight men that are attracted to me are not attracted to me because I look like a bloke. They're attracted to me because I present as a female.
Very attractive female.
Oh, so are you. Thank you, babe. Oh, I get all like, oh.
But that's my point. That's my point. You on your journey was about identity, not sexuality.
No.
And that's my point, is you know, and I think you've spoken beautifully about it in this last 45 minutes. Actually, this is about identity. You know, it has nothing to do with anything else.
Sexuality is totally, you know, my sexuality and my gender is and my gender identity. Yeah, I'm identify as straight, but you know, some people, some trans women are not straight, some are lesbian, some are, you know, bisexual, and it is a massive difference, you know, I think, and that's the whole kind of irritating thing of being trans, is that men that like me are so scared that people are going to think they're gay because society puts so much emphasis on, wow, trans, it's still a man, or you know, it was born a man or whatever, and it's just like, you know, no, like and obviously when I was younger, you know, that's when I realized, well, I'm not attracted to gay men, not because they're gay, but because they're into men. And and what I learned from being a child was those gay men weren't attracted to me because I was very feminine, and they're into, you know, but however, what I will say is some gay men are into feminine men.
But then that just goes down to individual preference.
Yeah. I just think we shouldn't label. We shouldn't label, because it's kind of like, you know, I can be really like, sometimes there's been times in my life where I thought I was a lesbian, you know, and I've been kind of attracted to women, and and so I kind of don't really obviously label myself anymore, because who knows, you know, like who knows, you know, I've kissed a woman before, not even being drunk or anything, but I've you know, and so yeah, so it's just like, stop labeling everyone.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I've had my experience of women, and not in terms of a relationship, but a lot more than just a kiss. And, you know, having that, you know, oh, am I gay? Because I can look at a woman today and be like, she's fine, like she's beautiful. And not just the face, I'm talking about the whole body, you know, like, not that I perv out, just want to put it out there, not that I perv out and then changed in the locker rooms when I go to the gym, but, you know, like seeing some women being like, she's like fine. I would much rather look at that, no offense guys, than some men's bods, like, because it's just that they're just more attractive. But I'm not gay. But I had that question in my mind: am I straight, am I gay, am I bi, like what am I? No, I'm straight. But you know, that's okay. I don't have to explain it. Do you find that when you go into places and people find that you have to give a big explanation about being trans?
What do you mean, go where?
So like, I don't know, like your new encounter with somebody, like I know, not that you did with me. So you meet me for the first time. Do you feel like you have this need over?
No, so no, I don't. So no, I don't really kind of, if I meet someone like a friend, or like meet people for the first time, sorry, no, I don't tell them. But if they start saying, oh, I'm on my period, and what's your periods are like? I would be like, I don't have periods, I'm trans. You know, like I'm not gonna go like, yeah, my period. I'm not gonna lie and say, oh yeah, but period. Like I would never understand like a period. But no, I don't initially say, oh, I'm trans. However, sometimes there has been awkward times where I've kind of met someone and they've started being homophobic or something, and I'm like, hold on a minute, like, but no, I don't initially. I always tell if I talk to men, I always tell them straight away, because I don't agree with not if a man's chatting me up, or like even Facebook Messenger or Instagram, I always tell them, because it's I don't want to be deceitful. I don't want to
I think
lead them
that's
on and then they're like, oh, because it kind of allowed, by me saying, by the way, I'm a trans woman, it allows them to make their own mind up. Do you know what I mean?
absolutely.
And what they want to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So with that, have you any sort of parting advice, knowledge, little nuggets that you think that somebody, I mean, obviously you're going to give me some links to put in your bio so when I post this out, and that would be really helpful for anybody looking for some support, advice, guidance. But what would be your advice if you were talking to you and you're like way back when you were like 14, 15?
Oh, God. Don't let people's opinions of you define who you are. That's what I would tell myself.
I love that. I really love that. Tiff, it has been really, really lovely having you on. I'm really grateful that you made time for me in your very busy schedule. It's been a bit of a thing to
Crazy,
get
yeah.
and I'm really grateful that you came along and were so open and honest. And you're just a lovely character. So I just want to thank you greatly for coming on. The podcast Wonderful Humans you can find on Spotify, Anchor, and Apple Podcast. And you can see my channel on YouTube. So if you'd like to listen, go ahead there. You can find other programs. It's gone down to once a fortnight because I've moved and I'm super busy. But you will find all the episodes on there. So thank you so much again for coming on, Tiff. You have been an absolute blessing. Lots of love.